Alrighty. Ooh, we in here. God darn it. Hey, this is the Barrel City Podcast presented by Bibbity Boo Productions. You got to know what it is. If you're here, you know what we on. I got some spicy for you. I got some word for you that's uplifting me. We also are looking at the story in which we are talking about the meet and greet for C Breezy and how that is making people feel. We're going to talk about that menace and the bench warmer himself, Jayson Tatum, and his hardships on sitting on that bench. We got Noah Lyles winning that 100 and 200, getting that gold and going for that bronze, and his comments over the NBA, of course, because I do talk a lot of NBA. And we're going to talk about some of that Olympic combination of the sports, different people, name drop, Sha'Carri Richardson, talking about LeBron James, the influence of the different things going on the Olympic play. And then also, I'm going to give y'all my own personal love and forecast of the insects, the creepy crawlies, the things that crawl in the middle of the night that get on you, and how you can sustain and balance out what you got going on, what to look out for. And then if you need to find a representative of, connecting those things outside of what you already know from my tips and things that I got for you to find the necessary help into moving forward. So you know what it is. It's the Barrel City Podcast presented by Beauty Boo Production. The host, Hassani the Great. We live. I'm trying to be here, and we about to come into the word, connecting to you greatly, loving everything we do. I thank y'all all. We come in here and welcome in again, and let's get into it. Alrighty, man. We're about to enter into scripture. So today we're going to be covering Isaiah 58. The subtitle is True and False Fasting. I repeat, Isaiah 58, 1 through 14. So cry aloud and do not hold back. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Declare to my people their transgressions, to the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as if they were not a nation that did righteous and did not forsake the judgment of their God. They ask only righteous judgment. They delight to draw near to God. Why have we fasted and you see it not? Why have we humbled ourselves and take no knowledge of it? Behold, in the day of your fast you seek your own pleasure and oppress all your workers. Behold, you fast only to quarrel and to fight and to hit with a wicked fist. Fasting like yours this day will not make your voice to be heard or high. Is such a fast that I choose a day for a person to humble himself? Is it to bow down his head like a reed and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Will you call this a fast and a day acceptable to the Lord? Is not this fast that a choice to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the straps of the yoke, and to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry and bring homeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, to cover him, and not to hide yourself from your own flesh, then shall your light break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up speedily. Your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of God shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry, and he will say, Here I am. If you take away the yoke from your mindset, the pointing of the finger and the speaking of wickedness, if you pour yourself out of the hungry and satisfy the desire of the afflicted, then shall your light rise in the darkness, and your gloom be as noonday, and the Lord will guide you continually, and satisfy your desire in scorched places, and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail, and your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. You shall rise up the foundation of many generations. You shall be the repairer of the breach, the restorer of the street to dwell in. If you turn back your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight and the holy day of the Lord honorable, if you honor it and not going your own ways, or seek your own pleasure, or talking idly, then you shall take delight in the Lord. I will make you ride on the height of the earth. I will feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. So, that's the English version. A quick description of the expectation of the household of Jacob, and pretty much looking at the truth in the false fasting that we all experience in some way. Or in that time period, they had set the ground rules of what truly fasting is and what fasting isn't. So we come back into it, crying aloud, the first verse, crying aloud, do not hold back, lift up your voices like a trumpet, declare to my people their transgressions, to the house of Jacob their sins. Already out there, cry aloud, that's you praising, that's you speaking out, you want your voice to be as loud as a trumpet. Easy. Great translation to that is just to pretty much say, just declare, put out what you want from the Lord, put out the words, put out the energy that you're needing. Declare to my people their transgression, the house of Jacob, their sins. Just telling the Lord, just putting it out to him. Second verse, yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as if they were a nation that did righteous and did not forsake the judgment of their God and ask of me righteous judgment. They delight to draw near to God. So they're delighted to get out, they're drawing close to God. They're getting closer to this righteous feeling. They're delighted to get closer to the Most High. Third verse, why have we fasted and you see it not? Why have we humbled ourselves and you take no knowledge of it? Behold, in the day of your fast, you seek your own pleasure and oppress all your workers. So, third verse, you already hearing how I'm just breaking it down to you. Like, why are we fasting? Just already saying off fat. Now they went from like, hey, yeah, we letting you know we love you, God. We there, God. Before you, God. But then in the same sense, in that same spirit of they looking at, the Most High, and they're going into now a recession of their mind, like, or that understanding of what's going on. Like, wait a minute, we fasting. Do you see me? Like, why? Okay, like, what's up? Like, we've humbled ourselves. We take no knowledge of it, beholding the days, we're now realizing a little bit of like a response, like a dialogue that's going on. And then you sit there and realize we're fasting not for our own, we're fasting for our own pleasure, not really trying to fast for the Most High. So how are we not fasting for the Most High? We still also doing this and then acting crazy towards one another, people that we are associated with, people that's working for us. So we get into verse 4. Behold, you're fasting only to quarrel and to fight and to hit with a wicked fist. Fasting like yours this day will not make your voice be heard on a higher. So he's saying in that fourth verse, you're fasting, but you still acting a fool. Connecting back to the third verse, you're making your voice heard, but you're not growing, you're not changing. You're spiritually looking at yourself in a different way, but you still acting some way that isn't presentable to be connecting yourself to the Most High. And that's when, you see the disadvantage, you see the changes that's going on where it's an issue and we got a problem. So now we're going to the fifth verse. Is such the fast that I choose a day for a person to humble himself? That's the question. Is such the fast that I choose a day for a person to humble himself? Is it to bow down his head like a reed and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? will you call this a fast and a day acceptable to the Lord? So, with that, we all getting the understanding of, all right, it's a question of, is such a fast I choose a day for a person to humble himself? So, you're choosing to humble yourself. Are you looking to bow your head? Are you here to spread the sackcloth and ashes under you? Will you call this a fast and a day acceptable to the Lord? So you're looking at this ritual mentality of this fast. But are we really following the ritual throughout? Or are we just following the ritual just to gain us a kind of a connection to understanding, that we're not really trying to really connect to the Most High. We're just trying to do this ritual mentality of what we think is going to connect. And then this is when verse 6 is not this the fact that I choose to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the stress of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke. Another question. All right, what kind of fast are we choosing? Are we doing this because we're trying to, loosen bonds of wickedness? Loosening of the bonds is a way for a lot of people who may not know this, is when you're trying to disconnect from bad behaviors, fornication, for example, lying, wicked behavior in the way you use your tongue, the consistent battle with, other people, maybe, physical disagreements that, you continue to find yourself in, bonds in a sense of relationships where you're in a space with somebody who is, a person that you care for or you did care for in the past. And this is where we get into soul ties and these connections with spirits that can tear you down. So this is breaking down, with this fast, what is your choice? What are you thinking about? What are you're trying to break free from this bondage of darkness or, uncomfortable relations with things that are not serving you. So we get down to verse 7. Is it not to share your bread with the hungry and bring the homeless poor into your house, when you see the naked to cover him and not to hide yourself from your own flesh? So you're getting to this, and now it's okay, isn't this for the means of which you're not doing it for selfish means? Aren't you supposed to be discovering and reaching out and to be encouraging more people to get the love of Christ? This is something that a lot of people don't think of when you're fasting. Isn't it that you're fasting to make a better person and to connect yourself to the ones around you? It's a question like, is this not for which you're doing it? Is not to share your bread, clothe others, be that steward of peace? And then we go into 8th verse. Then shall your light break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up speedily. Your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. So you're looking at that. You're looking at the healing that's supposed to come forward. It's telling you the righteous behavior that's supposed to come behind you. The glory of God is supposed to be that thing that people see behind you, that light, that shine of the Most High being around you. And then we reach into, the 9th verse. Then you shall call and the Lord will answer. You shall cry. He will say, here I am. If you take away the yoke from your midst, the pointing of the finger and speaking wickedness, you're now looking at, okay, that's when you get into that scripture and he's pretty much like, all right, you hear the Lord answering you. You hear him answering your cries. You're going to hear him being in that space for you. If you take away the yoke from your mix, you take that spirit that's holding you, that yoke. That's the best way, these analogies to get you so crazy, because Jesus was a prime example of what analogies could be identified. I love it, a great analogy. And this is another example of a great analogy, a yolk. Look at that. If you look at an egg, it's the first thing you should think of. And that's how he identified the spirit that we all have in the darkness is a yolk. What is your yolk like? What is your spirit like? Because that's the center of an egg. So it's like, if you're pouring yourself out, you're putting yourself in this space. You're not pointing people in a situation where you're just pointing fingers. You really taking on a mix of your own flesh, looking at your own issues. You're not going to be so caught up on what God, is doing around others. You're going to be more worried about what God is doing for you. So, into verse 10. If you pour yourself out for the hungry and satisfy the desires of the afflicted, then shall your light rise in the darkness and your gloom be as the noonday. So, get into that. You pouring yourself out, for the people that needing the love, needing the peace, needing the clothes, needing this love of Christ. And you satisfy the desire of the afflicted, those people, and your light shall rise beyond that darkness, beyond if your yoke is being troubled, beyond the bondage, beyond the issues that you may be encountering, and your gloom be as the noonday. So it's like you seeing that sun sitting at the top of the sky. It's like that's the light that you should be embodying when you're living not for yourself, but you're living for Christ, and that of your yoke being separated from your own issues. Truly, your yoke being separated from your own flesh, your own personal desires. So we look at the 11th verse, and the Lord will guide you continually, satisfy your desire in scorched places, and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail. So it's like the guide of Christ saying again, will take you further. It will satisfy your desires in scorched places, those places where you're troubled at. And then with that, it's going to make your bones strong. You shall be like a watered garden. So it's like you're being poured upon by the Most High to pour upon others. And then you're going to then also extend that to a place just like a spring water whose waters do not fail. So it's like you can think of it just like how beavers will block off water being able to trickle down and build a more stronger and sustainable river. But you can also understand it in the sense that blockage can be something that is holding you, a spiritual bond, a spiritual situation that could be stopping you from being that person or stopping you from being connected. That dullness, that spirit of how any of your desires can destroy you completely and change the trajectory of where you feel to connect to the ones around you and to help others. And you see where God is opening you up from that. So then we get into that 12th verse, and your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. You shall rise up the foundation of many generations. You shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of the streets to dwell in. So it's like he's already letting you know what was old will be rebuilt through the fact of you being that person that stewards the light of Christ, not for your personal gain, but through the love and through the pain and through your own grace that has been extended to you and has now found a way in which is now from your ability being water, you're watering and filling others and helping others. You're now rebuilding, and they're gonna call you the person who's gonna be the foundation of many generations. And that's the thing a lot of people got to understand. When our relationships have changed, you become that foundation of the generations that come, after you. It's a lot of foundational people that have, unfortunately passed on in many of our lives. And you see, this is now an example where you see a lot of, where some people may have looked up to others, may have not realized that our relationship of building and becoming more of a person of Christ through our own difficulties can increase us and bring us into a newer and more sustained life and restore us and restore others around us just through the water of Christ. 13th verse, if you turn back your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on a holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight and the holy day of the Lord honorable, if you honor it, not going your own ways or seeking your own pleasure or talking idly. So you see the wraparound where it's like the first the three verses where the questions of how should I fast, what am I fasting, bad fasting, and doing it for our own pleasure. When you turn your foot towards and you working with the Most High, giving him that opportunity to work through you, and you then honor him and you continue to honor him, not looking for your own selfish pleasure, you then be able to continue to connect and not be just in this idle phase of, some people get in that phase where they have a general level of a, faith that a lot of us don't really understand, and stages to it. You got the people that's on that milk, you got people that's on that real deal, soy. You got some people on that almond milk. You got some people drinking that peanut, that peanut milk, that the one, what the oat milk, not peanut milk, oat milk, you know. People get that different, level of calcium that they're supposed to be putting out, that different level of flavor. And you gotta sometimes realize that the general, that goat milk, that solid thickness that you need to have with the Most High, not looking for your own pleasure, not looking for what you can bring out to others, but looking to what you have been stewarded with, a gift or a blessing and a distinction that you can bring to others, that water that's been given to you, that spring that can then quench other people's thirst. You've been now given that opportunity to be that, honor of the Most High, without you having to keep thinking you got to be the main source, and you're not the main source. You're just a deliverer of a gift. You're just Amazon, UPS, FedEx, whoever you want to call it. You're just a deliverer of that water, and you just want to continue to delight in that, and not for that of your own, desire to be said continuously. Then 14th verse, then you shall take delight in the Lord, and I will make you a ride on the heights of the earth. I will feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. And that's the promise. That's the promise God gave you. God gave you a promise. A lot of people love to talk about the promises Jesus gave you, right? Jesus is somewhat in this way giving you the same example because he is the Father, but in that physical form, he clarified a lot of the things in which God would say in a lot of scriptures about him being a steward of love and a steward of, peace, a steward of clarity, a steward of things that are good, and a steward of the things which come from the reactions of bad and what can come from worse. And this right here, that final, testament, then you shall take delight in the Lord, and I will make you ride on the heights of the earth. And he's already letting you know. That's like it's freestyle right there. That's a mean game right there. He said you shall take delight in the Lord, and I will make you ride on the heights of the earth. He said you already gonna be on top just off that. So then I will feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father. He's already letting you know that heritage that a lot of people want to talk about, leaving money back for your kids. He's talking about that same heritage, that foundation of money that gets you to the Father itself, that heritage of heaven, peace, prosperity, a general foundation, a heritage that can build on for centuries, not just something that you can have as a tangible item, but a real love that even with that, the Lord spoke that into a lot of us in giving us an opportunity to, look at our foundation, look at our peace, look at our general knowledge and the things that we encounter in our lives. We never can get too much of the heritage and the connecting of our forefathers, but just to look at what God can do for us. And you just got to understand that even with that, and looking at just our lives and how we're growing, you got to look at the foundation of what we're trying to look upon and to give to the next generation. You know, you got to look at the things in which you're looking for more out of yourself to do for others and not just do for yourself. You're looking for what you can continue to steward for others, you know, setting up that foundation, you know. You got to understand those things come with a lot more work and understanding that it takes doing the hard things to get the satisfaction of what you want. And I wanted to connect it with a quote of mine coming from a rapper who identified everything in a quick sense, and I wanted to connect it with a quote from LL Cool J. And LL Cool J said, "You have to always continue to strive no matter how hard things get, no matter how troubled you feel, no matter how tough things get, no matter how many times you lose, keep trying to win." And with that quote can always be a sense of you striving through that tough love and striving for a level of intimacy with the Most High. But for most part, you want to make sure that the win isn't just for you. The win is for your team. Team ball is what we all here for. If you're not here for team ball, you're not gonna win. And a lot of people may seem like they winning, but I had said this to my mama one time on the fact of a relationship of something so tangible, so easy to grasp. It's easy to miss the love that you have for somebody. You could easily look to gather, materials and stuff. You can become that beaver that's hoarding materials. You could become that hoarder itself, hoarding things you love, surrounding yourself with things, but you never surrounding yourself with people and those people that can love you and assist you through your life. And I think courageously, we all think we're it, but we're never gonna be it if we don't go out to connect and love not just each other but one another, in loving ourselves. Most importantly, I can't forget loving ourselves, but we gotta also remember to love others outside of ourselves. And I think that selfishness is too much, and that selflessness is so much harder. And to even break it into his quote, that's what makes it so much better, because you're striving no matter what those hard times do to you. And just even connecting it to Isaiah 58 is just to let you know that no matter what you think can affect you mentally and draw you away from that and get you to a certain point, you're never going to get too far from it. And I think that's something that we also have to look at too, in a extent. And that's why when me and my mom was talking about it, I was like, one of our biggest things is the devil gonna bless you. He gonna bless you. And that's where that selfishness become very push, grab, take, eat, hoarder mentality has become abundant in our society. And that's why, excuse me, has to be a situation where we have to not be so easily entertained by what we can get. So yes, great connection, something I had to connect to myself. A great verse that I found that was, helpful for me in the times that I needed. So I'm not a person that's afraid of anything, in the sense of when it comes to being transparent on situations, especially if I like it, don't like. And I felt like this verse for this week was something that was needing to be said. The inspiration is still here. I think a lot of people that understand the inspiration is something that'll always stay with me. The hardest thing is the individual battles that we all have to encounter on a daily basis that we may not know about, looking at each other. And I want to acknowledge that for everybody, the love, the consideration, the things that we all have to battle. We have to be considerate of one another, no matter how easy it seems. You have to love one another, even when it seems like those people are at their best, when the smile is the brightest, because the smile is just like a flame. The brighter it is doesn't mean that the easier it is, the more tamed it is because as easy as that flame can look so bright and consuming. It's the same thing. It can blind you, but also can take a level of its own danger and can spread out in a way in which can then cause so much unhappiness and destruction. And I think a lot of people can never connect that to their reality because we are so easily consumed by the things of we're thinking things are happy-go-lucky, looking from a social media aspect to looking at how people carry themselves. And you never know what people take into that darkness with them, even with the light, because even with the light and that flame could so much quickly turn into a blaze, which can then burn everything around them. It can burn the people next to them. It can burn the people they love that are far from them. It can burn even themselves. And so even so many situations, we have to be considered that our love, not just for ourselves, back to what my whole message was about, we have to understand the love for each other and to continue to look at fasting and the way in which fasting is a level of love and just being who you are in embracing the ones who may be going through the same situations in that fight or flight. So I appreciate y'all, just listening to that and it just was something which I wanted to encourage on the fact that we all are struggling. And I want us all to acknowledge that even though we're all struggling, that does not mean that we have to sit alone. And even in that situation, do not allow yourself to sit alone too long because that's how the devil creeps upon you. And even this week, the devil done crept up on me. And, the battle with my transparency, has to continue on. And I want people to know that everything that comes easy is not cherished. For everything that comes with challenge, you're gonna remember it's gonna have to come with some jump back. But when you get it easy and it comes to you like, somebody dropping that food off, 600-pound life through the window, dropping that Popeyes off. You ain't had to get up, walk for it. You had to strive for it. You had to sweat for it. It makes it a lot easier for it to be lost. So I love y'all people. We're going into the next transition. We're going to be going from our lovely scripture. So I'm going to talk about, Chris Brown meet and greet. And we're going to get into it. Yeah. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. You know what it is. You know what it is, man. You're looking for exposure. You want a shout out. That's going from your music, anything, your page, mostly businesses, things that you got going on. Look no further here, man. Barrel City Podcast. We got deals, big things about anything coming to advertisement. We advertise your show on the pod. Advertise anything you got going on. Hit me up. Our page today on Barrel City Podcast on IG and TikTok. Transform your business. Embrace the season of change. Y'all want something different? Come here. We're going to make it happen. If you're looking for particular people, you want to put people on, you want to have somebody in front of the camera, you want to have opportunity, hit us up. You know what it is. Barrel City Podcast. You know what it is. Let's go. All right, man. Listen, Jayson Tatum being on the bench against Serbia, and him being on the bench throughout most of this, what we're gonna call it, the Olympics. I wanted to call it FIBA so bad in my brain. Y'all excuse me. But I'm gonna tell y'all know I'm not a fan of Jayson Tatum. I'm not a fan of Jayson Tatum. I haven't been a fan of Jayson Tatum, and I will tell you with the nicest words. I'm just gonna call it out. He's trash. Been trash. I've been telling y'all he's trash. I heard the statistics. He ain't barely made a shot, not one shot that whole Olympics. I think he made about 2 or 3. He may be wrong. That's what I heard. I really ain't care for this man enough to pay attention. I think all the games I watched, I've never seen Jayson Tatum in the game. Just gonna call it what it is. All the games I watched, and I watched a couple of them games, a good majority of them. He trash, and he only is MVP and considered all this because he is mixed, and he's favored because of Boston being a very prejudiced city. I said it. It's mine. I don't care what people think about what you think. Jayson Tatum is not what you think he is. He had more mentors, and I'm going to say it again, more mentors who are Hall of Famers, and he's not that guy. He's been mentored by a lot, and he's not that guy. He just has to be the guy because, unfortunately, as we've seen, Steph Curry was the guy. They want another Steph. Steph was the closest thing they could get in between of being a black man and not a black man that they can get. They can appreciate a good mixed brother. They can appreciate one. Because why? Because mix is still enough for them, but it's not too black. There's too black that they can't do it. LeBron was, it was black enough. Jordan opened the sport up, and a lot of people seen the influence of hip hop culture and understanding those things. They love appropriation. But when it comes to Jayson Tatum, he's an example of why a lot of people love appropriation, because he's got not a loud personality. He don't got identity to me. I think Jayson Tatum has an identity crisis that people don't want to uncover for themselves, because regardless of what you think of his skill, he doesn't even have something to market as a person. He's not a person, and I'm sitting there like, you looked at Steph. Steph had a swagger. It was like a quiet storm, but he can also be loud. The attachment. Draymond was the voice. Steph was the actions of you getting your ass whooped. Excuse me. So Tatum is being pushed more than Jaylen Brown for the reason, as if you don't know, Jaylen Brown don't have to be in the NBA. He has a guaranteed job to go to NASA. This man brought up Black Wall Street, and the whole means of Tatum being on the bench because he's trash. It's just point blank what it is. He's not that good. He's not out there shooting with Steph. He's not out there hooping. Devin Booker had more minutes, and Devin Booker played a role, and that's gonna help Devin Booker win a ring. That I put my words to it. Devin Booker will have a ring based on the way Devin Booker played in this U.S. If he played like he played there, and he's able to play the role he is, and let KD do what KD do, and he come in there and he can fill in them holes with whoever they attach to this upcoming roster, they're gonna win a ring. Guarantee it. They just need a little more of a push. They got it because Devin Booker unlocked the code. Because Devin Booker, which used to being the guy get those shots, getting his participation with it, all around with just how he hooping, but it was never a fact. He had to be particularly highlighted for what he could and he couldn't do. I think now, looking at it, hindsight being 2020, I think now looking at Tatum being pushed so much, but at the same time, do I think he's the number one guy, the second guy? No, because even Derek White got in. Drew Holiday and Derek White were role players, and guess what? Them role players played the role that they could, and I think Jayson Tatum could not find a role, and it wasn't a role left for him in this team. KD, scorer. Bron, facilitator, scorer. Steph, scorer, facilitator, can get you somewhere. Drew, great defender, scorer, can get you somewhere. Derek White, great defender, scorer, get you somewhere. Bam Adebayo, size, stretch 4, get you somewhere, get a block, get you that big man. Same thing, coming off AD, got the same monster in him. And be true big man, could stretch the floor though, and still do what he needs to do. I know Devin Booker fit a role so beautifully in this Olympics that what can you really say about what this man did? It's nothing you can really say that he didn't do. He really set the principle of finding a fact that he became a volume scorer when they needed him to, and he'd take those shots that people were kind of iffy on, and he would take them, and he would somewhat be somewhere they had a building block to build to getting further. And then you go from those to then now you're looking at the whole, embodiment of what Tatum was supposed to bring to this team, and you get lost by him. You get lost by him being on the court. You can see he thought he could, put those buckets up. You thought he could be that, extension to this team and helping them further compete. And he wasn't. Halliburton wasn't mad about what he did. Halliburton could have hooped up. He came off through FIBA. He did what he had to do through FIBA. He carried him with Ant. Now I'm gonna forget about Ant. Ant, he came out there. He showed that young energy. He didn't come in there and embody this dog mentality. People thought like MJ coming through the Olympics. No. This ain't his. You gotta remember, Ant is coming off of if we're gonna compare him to Jordan, he coming off that 1980s 91 Jordan before Pippen. He give you 50 and he looked good doing it. He's not Jordan that comes into that might be wrong. It might be 80s Jordan, not 91. 80s Jordan, and you looking at that Olympics 92 Jordan. This my league Jordan. That's this mine. Like, this is Jordan with the rain starting to pile up. He's about to start getting them loaded up. That's the Jordan that they thought they were gonna get from Edwards, and he's not there yet. And I think even though he's not, it shows the level of how much the league has grown with the older players. Larry, Magic, they were on the end when Mike was coming to become stardom. In this group, Edwards coming in, those stars of yesterday are still stars today. Their bodies have held up for the test of time, and Father Time himself is chasing LeBron with a machete, but right now he can't catch him. It's Michael Myers walking, but I think he might need to start running because he ain't gonna get him yet. That man's still moving. God forbid, something happens. But that's why I said we're looking at Tatum, and as a general hooper, he's not ready yet. I will never endorse somebody who he was not even happy being on the bench. He literally sat there and was like, well, I'm going to show everybody. Bro, you had all this time to show people. You're only there because Boston can't deal with another Bill Russell. They can't. They physically can't without Boston looking like the worst place to ever live, which I would never live in Boston. I don't find any amusement in Boston. I'm, I have to say, this is the Barrel City Podcast, a podcast that comes from the Florida, area. I could be Orlando Magic fan or Miami Heat fan, but it's not a disdain for the fact of who Jayson Tatum is. It's that the organization he played for, the city he live in, it's just not for me. I don't particularly like it. It has some nice places. It just don't seem like the place that people want to live. I think Boston is the opposite of what New York is to people, and it should be. That's how it is. And that's the reason why, another reason I just don't bang with Tatum. They don't want to put him off the side. They put him off the side, I don't think Boston's going to be good. And I'm not just talking about the fact of really being financially, being a good basketball team. I'm talking about financially. They need that pinnacle guy that they can look at and be like, my kids are looking up Jayson Tatum. Their kid looking up Jaylen Brown is going to ruin them. In their minds, they will not spend their money for that. They're not going for that. It's bigger than basketball, and I will continue to say that to people. So I don't know what else to say. I think I want that to be short and sweet about how I look at Jayson Tatum, because even though People say he won MVP in the finals. A blind man can show you that that man was nothing of the sorts. We could talk regular season all day. I tell you, we could talk about Jeff Teague and fucking Cal Corver, and Atlanta Hawks. We could talk about a lot of people when it comes to them playing great regular season. I think it was a great team. Just to talk about Boston a little bit more, it was what it was. This Olympic team, I feel like they were a way better team, and they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough to actually put Tatum out there because Tatum wasn't a contribution on this team, and it showed the flaws in Jayson Tatum more than what he was. And Halliburton was hurt, so that's another reason why Halliburton wasn't playing, because he's still probably recovering from that series against the Knicks. So, in that whole season, I think he came back early. He was supposed to come back in the first place. So, with that being said, it's funny to me. All his media was hilarious. Jayson Tatum was probably one of the few people that I could endorse as a big name star that should have been in Olympics. But that being said, we're gonna move on to our next topic. I'm gonna be breaking it down. We're gonna be going over Noah Lyles winning the 100 meter and his comments on the NBA not being the world champions, and them 200 meters that he had, that he won bronze after he did all that gyrating. So we about to hit back at you. Man. Noah Lyles, man. He had made local news, national news. He had made it to the world news. And at the end of the day, I have never seen anybody that checks so many boxes be so agitating. I feel like this man is probably the one of the best track and field stars we've had in a long time. And I think we're not looking at his talent. We're not looking at his comments more than his talent, and it's not going to bring him endorsements. It's not. I don't think he's in the right sport for what he be talking about, to be talking like how he talking. But he feel like something working. I don't know what to tell him. I personally feel like on the fact of him speaking about the comments of last year and the fact of world champions of what, I think a lot of people are like, but they don't play on the rest of these niggas is trash. Let's keep it 1K. All right? People be like, well, they almost lost to Serbia. They almost lost the Sudan. These people hooped in the USA for the longest. In the longest. These people that I think people don't understand. That's how you know everybody's a casual fan of a sport, because it's hot. It's hot. I do not get how people don't get the sports that they watch and understand it. They are invested and not invested at the same time. I do not get it. It does not make sense to me. I don't see it. I don't get it. Because his comments he made was completely ignorant to the fact that you literally have to compete against people from the United States, from all around the world, to get on a 15-man roster. And don't forget, you're looking at the G League and all these other rosters you still compete for, and you don't make it. Like, for example, they talked about one of the guys that was hooping for them, for Greece. Greece, or one of those guys. I ain't even gonna remember it. He was very athletic. He had a bounce. He's a great mid-sized big man. That's out of here. Okay, that's one-dimensional. People are still stuck in the era of before and not looking at the era we in. Every big has stretch to him. If you're watching NBA, if your big can't shoot outside those range, he's clogging the paint. Because most people, you're looking at Anthony Edwards, you're looking at Steph Curry, you're gonna look at LeBron, you're gonna look at KD, you're gonna look at certain players. They gotta be able to get around into that basket area to finish their shots. Of course, people be like, well, what happened before? The big can do this and that. Still, you got to remember, the big that can stretch out and get you more floor clearance, that was all brought in by Steph, Clay, Draymond, all them. All them times people talking about, oh, go to state, the best. All right, they destroyed your league. Before that all was happening, niggas was the big man was valuable. You know, they brought in Andrew Bull got left, Zaza Pachulia, and then after that they didn't need it no more. They did not need that big that does not stretch. You know, looking at the Nuggets, who won their title, stretch big. You look at Boston, stretch big. If you're looking at Golden State, stretch big. You look at Toronto sneak by. You know, a lot of people don't think about them. They were very much forward-oriented, going through Kawhi. They didn't have to go through their big a lot, but also they were not, they didn't have no super huge big that was dominating no paint. They had a very general level of the skill that they were trying to put together, and that's why they got things going. So when we're looking at Noah Lyles' comment about how the NBA is not world champions, for anybody to be like, well, technically, nigga, we're not talking technicallys. We're talking about, I guarantee you, we just got done watching the U.S. win gold. Nobody's beating Bron 1-on-1, KD 1-on-1, Devin Booker 1-on-1, Steph Curry, for all instance, not 1-on-1. Shit, even the bench warmer fucking Jayson Tatum himself, you not beating him on a 1-on-1. All right? I think everybody looks at this in the sense like they looked at 3v3 competition, right? 3v3 competition is an example of why I'm saying so many people are playing at a level where they're not playing the world no more, or you're winning easy competition. We don't even send half our best to play on 3v3. We don't. We never play no 3v3 with no, never. You know, I think a lot of people don't think that it's a world competition. Look at 3v3. 3v3 showed me there was a level of disparity on the sense of where there was a world championship and what it wasn't a world championship. 3v3 showed you. If you ain't looking there and saying, well, who are these people that's hooping? You don't know nothing about no hoops, because it wasn't nobody out there for 3v3. And that show you when somebody could claim world champion or not. World champion show you when is two people trying to stop Steph Curry, and he slides over, shoots over your head, and waves his hand and say sleep time while Draymond threw his hands up. Like, that's world championship basketball. We can't deny Greek Freak is a monster. You can't deny Luka is an abomination and can do things on that court that people can't. You know, you look at Jokic, how he handled the team. He coached that game against the United States and kept it close. You can't tell me Serbia coach did all that. I don't care what anybody say. Serbia coach could sit there and say he's a basketball mind and all that different stuff. When Jokic wasn't on the court, you look trash. Bogdanovic, that's another one. He been in the league for a minute. People want to act like y'all don't remember. Started out with the Sacramento Kings, went to Atlanta. I forget where he at now, but he wasn't. That man was a bucket getter. People act like he wasn't no bucket. Like all these players, they thinking, oh well, how y'all think y'all world champions and you don't even play world? Well, the world plays. But Bogdanovic, the same one we sat there and watched, I think he only averages like, I ain't even want to look up the stat. I think like 15, 16 points a game. Like, average. Like, he's not an MVP quality. I think he got maybe a award or two, some things, but he's not even a major star in the United States. And it's not even just because not getting pushed. We're in a Europe league now. You know, it's a lot of players that, you know, looking at Victor Wembanyama, you know, Rudy Gobert, you know, just looking at the French team, Wyman, Jaspierre, whatever his name is, little French dude who dunked over LeBron's, supposedly, not supposedly, whatever it is. He played on Boston. Couldn't even listen. He lost his job years ago. Man doesn't even play for the Celtics. A lot of people don't even know that man used to be a Celtic. He was drafted by the Celtics. I think that was like 2017, 2018. He been hit the league spit back out. Like, I think a lot of people gotta understand that FIBA ball is the world's basketball court. When you look at the NBA, it's a lot harder, it's a lot difficult to actually put up those points. You slap balls off the basket, you do all that through FIBA. But when you look at the United States game, it's a lot more difficult because it's more tactical and there's a lot more money in this shit. So I think a lot of people, including Noah Lyles, wanted to shit on the situation that they don't understand the difficulty to overseas to the United States and don't realize it's an IQ game, it's a speed game, it's a political game, and it's also a game that can, be connected to a lot of different avenues of, how can I say it? A lot of different avenues of encouraging people that come from a situation of hardship and moving them into a place of betterment and changing their lives. So, of course, we love to sit here and love the idea that this league of NBA players are not world champions, but they're completely world champions because the best that we watched throughout here, through FIBA, it was very few superstars, and the superstars were known. Like Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder was on a German team. Dennis Schroeder is a point guard. He's a lead guy. His IQ was shown. He was dominant. He did the things he needed to do. He's not a star. Like, people don't get it. Like, FIBA makes these people look like stars. They go over here, like Dame Lillard had a quote way back. He said it's a guy, and I think he was responding even to the fact of Evan Fournier. Like, Evan Fournier was one that I think he spoke about early on, where he was talking about, it was a quote way back when he was playing USA basketball. Damian Lillard said international players are completely different when they play for their countries. Like, and it was a crazy, funny quote from a meme. It was a picture, and Dame was looking at Evan Fournier, and he was like, I ain't never seen this brother hoop like this ever in my whole entire life. And this man is killing it. And a lot of people don't get that. And looking at the fact for even, Lyles himself being an American and understanding, the pride we have for certain situations, especially knowing the history of what we think of with gold medal basketball, I think we look at this and realize that he doesn't really participate in being a team player in how he supports his country and how he feels about how we as not just a community, but how we cooperate as a team in USA and bad-mouthing athletes of any kind over. And it wasn't even just the comments. It's how he said, world champions, oh, what? Somebody should have broke his legs. He got out of body. Like, this whole time, I was saying that, like, this is why we have in a community of people, we have G-checking. Because niggas like him get lost in the sauce, get mad, jealous, caught up in their feelings, look at niggas crazy, feel like they feel, and they will literally tweak out and then think people supposed to understand their frustrations, look at their sport any different, understand that their sport goes on much longer than the Olympics. We got world championships, continuous times where we're training, we're playing the best, and we're doing this and we're doing that. We get that. But you gotta understand, for the American people, a lot of these very small-minded sheep that has been congregated here don't do well with attention spans based on the things that you've seen. So you got a reaction based on the fact that you're just being really shitty towards somebody else that literally have to compete for the same amount of attention, and because of the forefathers that played ball before them built up this momentum, and you're not building the momentum of just looking at it from an aspect of, these guys are respected fellow athletes and I also do not understand the concept of how they're world champions. He made it sound like, nigga, these niggas ain't never going, they're not real champion. They don't do what I do. I'm the best of what I do in the world, that. And it became a negative taste in people's mouth, and it created a discord, which I'm going to continue to just say, don't talk about hoops if if you know that your background of people do not represent any form of NBA or international play. Frenchmen, Germans, Australians, Slovakians, Serbians, Russians, Chinese, Japanese, anybody we watch in the International Olympic play can talk about basketball or any sport because they hoop. You Americans who unfortunately you're not making the league no more. And when we talk about any other sport away from, we're looking at football and basketball where you're a minority of very slim people, please be quiet and stop speaking on sports that you cannot physically play at a higher level, even in the level of college, without somebody having favoritism. Please. As the community needs to speak, I'm tired of looking at comments of people that can't really hoop, who don't have the athleticism to hoop, who don't have the skill set to hoop, who may be YouTube hoopers, who may be speaking about things that they can do, and they may be great street ball players, but you can't hoop in an organized play that can make somebody else look really good and work in a team and also be able to shine on your own. Please stop talking about these sports, because you look at Noah Lyles, he's somebody that's in an individual sport that can talk crazy, but at the end of the day, Noah Lyles wasn't there for that relay team, where the fact of if you really was a star, you really is that guy. If most people don't know public knowledge, we haven't finished a relay and I think it's almost 10, 12 years. I think we haven't finished the relay. We've been disqualified. If Noah Lyles was Noah Lyles, he needed to help his fellow track runners in a team-oriented contribution of track and field, with him being an extension of that. But no, this brother won his 100, was happy, snatched off his little flyer, stunning on, the people that he felt like that was below him, came out for his 200, did all them three actions, jumped around, backflip, turn, did all this flipping, go out there to run, barely makes bronze, and guess what? Now this brother got to get carried off like Paul Pierce 2008 to go hit a boo-boo, because he had talked up so big, and guess what? Now he got COVID. Guess what, buddy? You must have thought you had a good time. You had a good time in Warsaw, free off France, and got turned and did what you did, and now you got COVID and you got asthma and all that. These excuses that he had found, when in the fact it wasn't even the fact that his comments on on basketball was just shitty. His just comments in general of just being an athlete and a lack of accountability to even help out his country. It's a lot of me in a country that, hey, as soon as it don't work out, you mess up once, black in sports or black in life, you are gone. There's no second chances, no last chance for no grown adults. There is here come the next person that goes through comedy, that goes through sports, that goes through jobs, that goes through your career, that goes through what you watch, what you see, who you're around. You will get removed out the way when you make a mistake or do not live up to an expectation that everybody has for you, or you've created for yourself, in which he's done both. So, for my conclusion of really talking about Noah Lyles in the sense of him being the guy that we all should be highlighting, he's a very great track runner. I just think him as a person he dug a hole too big to climb the fuck out. It's nothing you want to do is to put yourself as a black sheep in already a black sheep oriented space, which is sports with anybody of African descent, and then go out here and then try to isolate this even more and think you have some room to climb. And then, even the comments, I got to touch on that. Supposed comments he had on Anthony Edwards, the signature shoe, saying that was a rumor and all that. I believe this Negro said it. I think he's just a hater, and I think this man is never going to become what he wants to become because he has stunted his own growth, not knowing how to politically handle himself in situations to be the great. Looking at even his fellow companion, Shakira Richardson. Shakira Richardson wasn't just loud, boastful, and was wild and all that. She had a reason to, because she had a spunk, a speed, a strength, and a real hunger to this sport. Wherever she fell through with, for people how they left her on the side, and I think you need to take notes how they left her to the side on the fact of, her being, indulgent in marijuana. She wasn't do coke. She wasn't doing crack. She wasn't on a Fetty pack. And she wasn't doing everything else. She literally was just sticking to the green from the earth. And I guarantee yeah, them Jamaicans probably hit a couple of them blunts too. I ain't gonna lie. I know them Jamaicans probably got some good weed too. Because at the end of the day, that wasn't that can always be disproved on the sense of what that can do to help you physically. That's ongoing studies, and I think that is another example of, it wasn't that she was too loud. It's just the fact that when she made a stumble, they was quick to trip her, and that's just what it was. So, Noah Lyles, he a hater for me. I personally, I don't wish bad on the brother. I hope he can recover from the fact of his comments. I hope his heart is in a good place. I hope he's not a person that is a reflection of his comments, and I hope he can actually be, an actual beacon of improving the sport without having to drag other people down. If he deserved the money, he deserved the money. If you hear the comments when he made Anthony Edwards, and I'm gonna say he made those comments on the fact he felt like that man don't need a signature shoe, that's up to him. But I think he can be a better extension of peace than what he was showing. And that's why I leave it. I concluded. We're going to go into something more mysterious before I go into my outro. I'm going to talk a little bit about some bugs, something I love. So I'm going to come back at y'all. Y'all get ready for it. We're going to go and talk about a little bit of some creepy crawlies and what I've been seeing outside. So y'all hit it back in. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I gotta go and talk about the creepy crawlies. Give y'all a bug forecast. In reality, a check on what you're seeing. All right, so if you're living in the great state of Florida, and we just had a hurricane come through, I don't remember no name. I don't really care. That's indigenous. For the Europeans to still keep up with naming storms after they killed and imprisoned most of the people that did all these things. That's honorable of them, but I don't keep up with their behavior. So for the insects, if you've been experiencing a lot of rain, as much as I've seen, we experienced a lot of rain. We went through a huge rain drought. You're gonna see a lot of spiders. All right. Big thing is, you're not gonna see too much furry in the state of Florida. You're not gonna see too much, you know, cutesy stuff. Right now it's the ugly. Everything been pushed out. So if you see an hourglass, brown or black, don't bang with them. They will kill you. The little ones, they will kill you. There's 100 plus non-venomous spiders. Brown recluse. Then you got your brown and your black widows. Those are the people you need to worry about. Wood spiders big as hell, bulky little motherfuckers. You be careful with them too. Banana spiders, if you do see them occasionally, they do pop up based on shipments. A lot of people don't. We're not used to seeing them. If it's big as hell, and I'm talking about big, long legs, is usually what tell you're in trouble. All right, just leave them niggas alone because they strong. You hit them, you gonna hit them hard. All right. Reason why you're seeing a lot of spiders: the increase of gnats, flies, worms, and most importantly, roaches. All right. A lot of people don't like the roaches. All right. The roaches, for one thing, can be a hard thing to handle. You know, roaches are some creatures that have inherited a lot of space and can pop up in the very odd times. You're seeing a lot of dark black ones, brown ones with the little spots on their back. You're gonna get into more of, you're seeing the extension of the palmettos, and you're looking at the orientals, and you're looking at a lot of wood roaches. These roaches are now, coming out based on the moisture because it irritates them. The exoskeletons feel a certain shake and tightness, which most of us don't even understand. But the best way to describe it is, you ever have the feeling of fiberglass on your skin? It's the same feeling they feel. And for roaches, big and small, even into the fact that it increases the activity of humidity, which then allows the population of German roaches to increase as well. The inside roaches, which do not associate outside. A lot of people don't understand that. They cannot be in UV rays, direct UV rays. They will go outside, people out and walk inside your door. That is very common. They will go through AC vents. That is very common. Humidity, heat, they are drawn to that. So you will get a huge implication of those coming throughout your home if you have them. If you're seeing them, put out liquid, put out chemical, get the pest guy out there and get these things taken care of. Because the increase of spiders is to let you know too that you have a problem of things that are coming in or out. They only show up when they got somebody that is okay. We got food, they got water, we're up in here, it's cool, we're a vibe. That's the only time you're gonna see spiders, okay? Usually, if a spider is coming through, they're coming through because you ain't got it, they're gonna have to go. But if you got it, they're getting it, they're gone. All right, roaches, they are truly known to be people that are associated by having a comfort level. Something just like most of us have as people, their bed lifestyle. They like to have something between them on their left and their right side. They like to feel nice and comfortable in a corner. If you're seeing a roach, you're not going to see them just walk out in the middle. They just moving through. They trying to make it somewhere to get somewhere. They love to sit in the corner and get in that little confined space. That's the biggest thing for them. So with that being said, you getting that huge gist of be careful what you're putting out, what you're containing. I'm not gonna give you no products to endorse. Not yet. I'm gonna get to the endorsing products a little bit later in time. So we look at these insects. We're gonna look at these different extensions of watching your plant life as well. Be careful what you see, webs, what's being, surrounding it. Around here, I've been dealing with a lot of fucking mushrooms, the humidity, the fungi. Those things have become a huge issue around my aloe vera. So I've been having to keep an eye on that because that I don't even know how that humidity got the little fucking spurry shits all over the place. So watch that. Keep your eyes on these key signs. Watch your entrances, your backyard, front yard. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to what's in your crevices, your corners, what's by your front door, because you will come in contact with things, and you got to be aware of what your surroundings are bringing you around, because you could be letting one in, you can be letting things out, and you can also be bringing a different level of tension. So please get your preventative measures, get these chemicals or extensions of help for your safety. Of course, I would recommend, one of my recommendations would be something of a glue trap for high traffic areas and traffic areas around windows, doors, and as well as in kitchen, in places in which where it's dark, it can get moist, it can get wet, it can be dry, it can be a traffic way that goes onto the bridge lines from areas from where water is to where there is areas where things can enter, to where there's also areas where things can actually sustain itself, because you will find things that will get into your space and can become an issue. With high humidity, the final thing I want to connect to is be aware of silverfish. Silverfish is their kind of season. It's wet. It's got all that different, energy to it. The reason why I say watch out for the little silverfish, because they got like several little antenna like worms. They real silver looking, easy to describe. Didn't take a brain scientist. they came through. You get them in little wet areas, especially in your bathroom. It's a high humid area. You need to make sure you have some things to keep that humidity considered and understood of what you got around. And also keep an idea of looking at your closets that are close to windows and things like that that could build up humidity, because silverfish love starch. They love starches. That's why you find them on the rocks. They love the starchiness and different things that come from high mineral things. They're high mineral creatures. They will eat through your clothes. That's another reason why you got to watch out for silverfish. So that's my little bug out, my nerdy moment. Assigning the great, giving out the great knowledge. Hopefully y'all love this. This is another touch, fighting and struggling mentally and taking these steps and moving forward. I think this is the journey and the build up. And I hope you all enjoy this great and amazing podcast. I've shared some of the key things, something small, something light. Hopefully I can hit y'all top heavy. I got some things in the works. I continuously working. These 2 weeks flew by quick. I did miss you all, to talk to you all greatly, dearly. I truly have. But working on a lot of different things, working on a lot of different topics. Hopefully I can bring you so many different new things in the next coming few weeks, and we can get some videos out. We can get some things going. I'm working to a lot of these things. So I appreciate you if you're listening. I love y'all. This is the Bibbidi Boot Production Barrel City Podcast, presented by the great Bibbidi Boot. You gotta know what we doing out here. We making motion. We're gonna take over. In my mate's voice, killer. We got it. We gonna blow up. I'm telling you. So I love y'all. Y'all stay sweet. Y'all stay lovely. This is one of my favorite part. That hard music, presented by and created by Bibbidi Boot Productions and the Barrel City Podcast. Great. It's signing great. Y'all love you. We doing it. Yeah.